evident that women abuse women. And as women looking at this problem, when you come to that juncture, please forget about us for a while and think whether the man is a catalyst or not. I should not abuse my fellow women because charity begins at home. FGM, I'm a Mandinka, born and raised. No man has a major say when it comes to circumstances with women. In the house, normally it's either my mother or my mother's mother. That's principally your domain. So in as much as we will blame men like I did in a newspaper, we have to look inwards and critically analyze ourselves as women. I can talk about this for hours, but I decided to come here to support and be a backbencher.
Promise is a promise. It's time to take action against violence against women. I think it's actually important to look at what this theme means. I know Omar raised the issue about who's making the promise, but I'll take it from the legal side in this instance, and for example, look at the obligations of our government in terms of ensuring that the fundamental rights of women and girls to live in a free, violent society is actually realized. I'm sure that most of you are aware that the Gambia is a party and has signed and ratified international and regional human rights instruments in terms of the protection of the rights of women. We have the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW. We also have the African Women's Protocol, that's called the Maputo Protocol. We also have, coming to the level of the Gambia as well, we also have the Women's Act 2010, which encompasses the fundamental rights of women. And when we talk about women as well, we include girls. So the Children's Act of 2005 also is important. But at the end of the day, what we realize is that you have all of these beautiful laws, all of these beautiful laws are there, but at the end of the day, they're actually paper tiger in the sense that they're not actually implemented. One is because of resources and putting in structures and training personnel and so forth. But I think as well, at the end of the day also is the fact that people are not really aware, especially women are really not aware of their rights that are actually protected in these instruments. And I think another problem that we realize in the Gambia is the fact that despite the fact that we have all of these beautiful laws, they don't really filter down to the grassroots level. Women at the grassroots, in the village, in the district level, some of them know about the Women's Act, they know about their rights, but most of them don't. And even if you explain to them their rights, I think it actually goes back to the issue about what Sana raised about the fact that one of the women actually agrees to be the second wife. And I think for me, quite apart from the views of the panelists and other people, I think it's about the process of socialization, the way we actually grew up. I think we all know that when we were kids, like when we were kids, you have the boys and the girls. The boys are actually asked to go and play football or to go and do something else. And then girls are also asked to clean. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I think it actually develops into our psychic and how we think and behave and how we think.
I'm proud anywhere I go to say I'm a we man. And when we are together, we are we men because we are together and we need to support each other. I remember GDAC, that was this play that they did called In the Beginning of Creation. And this performance shows you that in the beginning, a promise was made, and the promise was man will take care, man will respect, man will never insult or even beat a woman. But those promises were broken, and those are the promises we renew, and we are calling for action.
As a young person and a young man for that matter, I have to start talking to other young men to see that what other young men are doing is wrong and is it cannot be justified at any level. Because if you look at European society before, it was what we're talking about today was there before. Women got right to vote you're talking about the 1960s in America, while in the Gambia we had that early on. But before, women were just like men. They were given the responsibility, but today it seems like we're taking it away from them. So this is just part of me following them.
The commemorations also brought together young people who have passion for the arts, and to be much more specific, poetry. Young people also decided to take their time to write poems that would in one way or the other entertain the people who were there, as well as learn from the message that we are trying to put across during their poetry. So we'll just go with these two poems that were done by two very, very dynamic Gambian young people who stunned the crowd with their words.
When you look at me and my sisters, what do you see? Do you see a thirst quencher, backbencher, ego builder, building muscles you carry, freeing troubles that otherwise make you worry? Do you see a mat to walk on, cup to drink from, voice box from which sweet sounds of melody alone are derived? Deprived of sweet, smooth, delicate loving? Last night I chanced upon a mirror from which came my reflection, an in-depth depiction of a woman from our continent, revealing a pertinent truth that I had never seen before, an education, an emancipation that you had withheld from me. I saw a beautiful, strong woman, a black woman. I saw a gem undiscovered, hidden in yet terrain, yet unscathed, untouched, spread across fields while rivers flowed underneath it. I saw an image beaten but not broken, taken for granted yet still living, believing in a prophecy told in ancient times of a spine within spines, standing firm, holding strong, tending to the sheep of the fields, the grains of the sand, the wealth of nations. For wasn't it a woman who cemented its ancient prolification? Haven't we fed hungry bellies whilst we stayed empty, carried kings and princes and watched them rule over us? Haven't we made prayers on your behalfs whilst your crazed minds remained lost, tossed with the winds of the seas? Haven't we stayed in the darkness whilst you roamed off to others of our frame and posture? Isn't it time you saw what I saw when I looked in the mirror? That the rib from whence we came was to be the light to your darkness, the joy to your sadness, the hope to your random, erratic, complicated, self-caused, unjustified hopelessness? Isn't it time you saw what I saw when I looked in the mirror? I looked in the mirror and I saw me. I saw a woman as dark as the soil. I saw strength, the strength of a woman, a black woman, and I smiled, for it was a mirror of truth.
No woman in the world would ever love you like her again. Though you were to meet all the women in the world, though you were to seduce or be seduced by all of them. The other men you know, your friends, all swear by their mothers. When they're angry, when they fight, it is each other's mothers they curse. It has always seemed a bit like posturing to you when they speak about all they would do for their mothers once they have the money. And so you have tried, when you're alone, to understand your own feelings for yours. Their roots deep within you, the first person you ever felt anything for, yet not quite emotions, not exactly. Seeming to exist in a previous state, it occurs to you that what we start with, what exists before emotion, has no name. Only it is strong and it is wild, and we barely have any control over it. And it is out of this uncontrollable product of our hearts, this raw material, that we forge what we call emotions, shapes we recognize, feelings we begin to describe. The connection between you and her exists in this pre-emotional state. You will go out into the world and you will come back home, and always it will be waiting, while she yet has breath in her, and you cannot even begin to imagine, to think about the alternative, coming home to not find her there. You are not yet, perhaps never would be equipped for such grief. So when the other men speak of their mothers, you are silent. There are things we hide within us, jealously guarding them, never sharing them with anyone. When you're feeling scientific, you even attempt to explain it to yourself. That bond between a mother and a child. How you grew up inside her for 3/4 of a year, but most days you are happy without an explanation. Happy only to sit next to her and talk, to listen to her speak. Your mother, how she laughs when you crack a joke, leaning over you, putting her hand on your shoulder, moving with a lightness through the world that you have seldom seen in the men of the country, the proud rulers of their homes, full of fighter. And you think, even as you grow into a Gambian man, how you would like to be more like her. But you think this in the same way a Gamokat speaks about being like the Holy Prophet. An attempt, nothing more, to reach heights you know you would never be able to, levels of goodness of heart you cannot even begin to comprehend how to achieve. Sitting on your bed, she asks a question, something about your life away, an illness you had suffered from in her absence, and how you battled it. And then she said, "But it's over?" And you said yes, and she nodded.